Golden Moments Part 2 is the 19th episode of the third season of The Golden Girls. This is, of course, directed by Terry Hughes, and as always, there'll be some spoilers as I discuss what happens, and I'll ultimately discuss how the episode ends. But as I'd expected, I didn't particularly love this, but I do think it's better than the previous episode, because in the previous episode, Sophia said that she was going to live with Phil, because he needed her help, and the girls thought that this was not a good idea. And in this episode, they're putting their heads together while eating cheesecake to try and come up with a way to make Sophia stay, because they don't want her to go, which is rather sweet. However, as I expected, it is just a clip show. And I will say, the reason it's better than the previous episode is that the previous episode seemed to have fewer and longer clips, whereas this one had, I think, a few more clips, and some of them were quite short, so the pacing was better. I was watching a greater variety, and that also meant that it was a bit funnier because we didn't have long scenes. We were able to get to the punchlines much more quickly. So I do think that it's an improvement on the previous episode. However, I will say this doesn't need to exist. There is absolutely no need for this to have been 2 parts at all. I mean, there might have been a reason why they were unable to produce 2 full-length episodes. I don't know if anybody has any information on that. Please feel free to share. Actually, I've just had a look on IMDb, and according to IMDb, this actually aired, the 2 parts aired as 1 hour-long episode. So I guess the question there is, why did they air 1 hour-long episode? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. If anybody knows, please feel free to share. If there's a genuine reason why they needed to do an hour-long, mostly flashback episode, I'll accept it. If it was a creative decision, then that's not very good at all, because it's not great. It doesn't have a lot to offer. As I think I said in my previous discussion, had this been many more seasons down the line, then it might have been more meaningful, as we would have been looking back over a decent period of time. But a lot of these clips happened not tremendously long ago. So honestly, I don't think it has any real value. But there was one moment that I absolutely loved. Also, I don't have any highlights to mention from the clips that they showed. The clips were all fine, but none of them would I consider to be really iconic moments. Whereas actually, in the previous episode, the clips were longer and fewer, but there were at least 2 clips in there that I consider to be actually pretty fantastic. Not the case here, so I guess there are kind of pros and cons to either. But the moment that I absolutely loved, and they absolutely could have just put this in the previous episode, again, unless there was a genuine reason for them needing to do an hour-long clip show, the bit that I loved is right at the end, when Sophia says that she's staying, and she says, well, she starts to say that things aren't so terrific around here. And then she looks back at the girls. Their expressions are that of confusion. And she says, things are terrific around here. And they all hug. And it's a really sweet ending. And I rather liked it. I thought it was really beautiful. It's a moment that would have been worthy of a season finale. So if anybody knows if there was a real reason, a genuine reason why these 2, I guess, 1 hour long episode existed with just clips, then I'll make my peace with that. But as I said, if it was a creative decision and somebody thought this would be a good idea, then that's a little bit less easy to sit with. Either way, it's fine. Golden Moments Part 2 isn't that great apart from the final moment, but it's watchable, I guess. Nice variety of clips, if not the strongest clips. And the moment at the end with Sophia was gorgeous. So I wouldn't watch it again. But I suppose it's okay.